Hey there! So today we have another review. This is a beer from Treehouse. This is Peach Tart, beautiful label with just a pretty peach on there. And so, wonderful label on that. And this is their take on tart wheat beer. So, blah, blah, words, fresh fruit flavors. I'm trying to look for like the interesting things that like they might say. They say there's a teeny amount of funk and vibrant carbonation. So there may be, there's interesting ways to sort of look at breweries that are putting specific words in there that are both messages to consumers, but also people that know what's going on. So funk, is there Brett in here? That's an interesting question. Vibrant carbonation. So ideally it's pushed at higher volumes of CO2. Restrained acidity, ripe peach, juicy peach flesh, peach yogurt. Peach yogurt, definitely something you get from a lactose strain. And then beer is best enjoyed cold and straight from the can. Oh, interesting. So maybe I'll try that first before I pour in a glass. And this is fully attenuated. So that's the last sentence to say about it, which is, again, very important. We're talking about beers that are not fully attenuated. We're talking about 450 North and other beers that are just like, even Trillium recently had a exploding can issue. So we're talking about attenuation, letting the yeast sort of like dig into the fruit and allowing the beer. I think Treehouse. Trillium for sure has a centrifuge. Treehouse might have a centrifuge. So we're talking about like the ability of these beers to be attenuated. That's different. Centrifuging, you're talking about getting rid of the yeast so that you have no issues of back sweetening your beers with fruit. Fully attenuated means that ideally the yeast is eating through all this fruit. But they say enjoy it that way. 5.4%. Let's try it out. Can't really smell much. Right now I smell like a bunch of just like yogurt. It's overripe peach. It's almost a little nasty. It's almost like overripe. It's stinky. It's almost like, it's a little bit yogurty, but that is a lot of rich fruit puree. It's digging your nose into just like pulped up bunch of fruit. Oh yeah, that's an attenuated beer, yeah. So this is not your kind of like, half fruit, half beer kind of thing where it just tastes like, is this really beer or fruit? This is a nice, peachy tart beer. This is where I'm at. I like this. We're gonna pour it out. And there you can see. So they're definitely messaging something fully attenuated. They're not in the realm of like, hey, we're going to make a, Fleur de Weiss or hugely fruited sour. This is a nice peachy beer. Look at this. This looks like a nice, wonderful Berliner. It's a tart wheat. So wonderful kind of light straw color on that. It's way less hazy than their hazy beers. It has a light chill haze. It has a medium minus haze, there's a little bit of haze to it, but it really looks like a Keller beer at most. It's a really nice straw beer. Wonderful white head on that. And I smell it, again, it's very peachy. It's got a wonderful aromatic to it. It is, just the ripest peaches you can talk about. It's not a tart peach, it's what they talk about. Right, peach skin, peach flesh, peach yogurt. Yeah, it's all the fruit puree kind of notes, but it's not puree beer on the palate. That's really nice peachy notes. I'm very curious if they used real peaches in here, or real peaches could include the fruit purees. Generally, breweries will use the best sourcing you do is honestly just like aseptic fruit puree. Fruit puree, it doesn't involve processing. It's just so many man hours to deal with like actual peaches and maybe skinning them, dealing with the bacteria on them, yeast on them, dealing with pitting them. It's just a lot of work if you're going to be brewing at 30 barrels, 50 barrels. We're talking about pounds per barrel, so we're just hundreds and thousands of pounds if you're trying to do a big batch. The really like fruit ripe aromatic to it, and then on palate, it's really tart and crisp. I definitely see why this is a canned beer. I think you're possibly missing some of the really ripe, wonderful aromatics you're drinking out of the can. Let's do a comparison. That's what they compare. That's what we'll do. So, try this one out. Drink it out small thing, so you got no nose. It's just purely tart. Really wonderful, clean Berliner. And it's got a little bit of peach flavor to it, but it's not like that fleshy. It's not that sweet. It's just a really wonderful, tight Berliner with a medium acidity. I think it cleans up a little bit acidic on the back end, but it's a nice, clean, acidic beer. Here, obviously poured out. So the carbonation is gonna be a little bit more tempered, and pretty much the same. I'm not gonna like joke to you and lie to you like, oh my god, it's a hugely vastly different beer. But I think you get a little bit more fleshiness because obviously your retronasal is pulling in you get your retronasal on this end, but your orthonasal on this end, we're drinking and smelling, has a really wonderful tart peach ring. It's almost like it's sour peach candy. There you go. Peach rings are a descriptor in a lot of sour beers that I have, but these are not that kind of juicy sweet thing. It's really as if it's like it's a peach sour Patch Kid. There you go. Wonderful, really light, crisp, 5.4%, really nice. I think it really hides its alcohol well. This beer drinks a little bit tinier, but I think it's bumped up its body a little bit more, 5.4, without being overly watery, but still wonderfully crisp. Let's look at the same experience. Hey, to me, I almost get a little bit more tang to it on the back end, a little bit more of the Berliner. Whereas here, it's a little bit more rounded. And again, I probably argue that's part of the lack of carbonation. You get it poured out, you're releasing a lot of carb, but also you're getting some from your nose, but pretty similar experience. This is a crazy beer. You're gonna want a 4-pack of this, you're gonna crush it, you're gonna love the summer, you're gonna love it, by the water, but hey, COVID's like made things a little bit different, but it is still a delicious beer. It's a crusher. And this for me gets a it's so focused and nice. These are more of the beers that I hope breweries make more, where it's wonderful fruit flavor, not candy-ish, but also shows it's like a really just wonderful, acidic, bright tart wheat. And I like that it's not tart. And this is a sour beer. Let's be honest here. This is a sour beer, whereas a lot of people make like tart beers, and they're like slightly. This is sour for sure. Yeah, noticeably sour. This for me is one of the better ones of what it's rare. We don't get these that much. This for me gets a solid 96 tart peach. I wish more Berliner / fruited Berliner breweries would do this more. Until next time, guys. Cheers, crusher. Wonderful that Treehouse is stepping this game. The first sour I've ever had from Treehouse, and it's crushing. Cheers. Later.